Live streaming is on.
And echoing. Hey guys, so first agenda topic, let's check out the Figma. So I'm not going to share screen. I think we can each look at the Figma on our own. Do you have, the link was in Telegram?
Yes.
And let me grab it myself. Max said that actually Max might come in. So let's start with the narrative, and we'll do the Figma in a second when Max gets in here.
Okay, because actually the point here is to try to fit the narrative inside the Figma, right, at the end?
Yeah, exactly. So we should probably just start chatting narrative.
I like what David did.
Yeah, I'm really impressed actually with the overall quality.
Yeah.
And there are some. What was that, Fabio? Oh, never mind. That was my echo. I'm really impressed with the quality, and there is some stuff that's not even here that he worked on, which is like some funny comments for the sliders. That, like, you know, if you pick too small number of hatchers, then something funny comes up and is said. If you pick too many, then something funny comes up and is said. Kind of to help guide it. I told him not to put any more work on that because he was a little behind. So, and in fact, I don't think we have the screen 4 narrative in there or the final narrative. But
hey,
yeah,
it's Max. I made it.
hey Max, we're just going over the narrative.
Okay.
Does anyone have any comments on their impressions of the narrative?
Hey, everyone.
Hey Max, and Jeff is here too. Well, Max, did you have any? You got to read the narrative, and you seemed to really enjoy it. What did you think?
What do you mean? The one that you showed me, or the one that David came up with?
The one that David came up with, that you saw, was just for screen 1, and he made.
So yeah, my main thoughts on that topic is that basically the gamification will be wrapped around the text. So we want to entertain and make the process fun as possible. And those funny comments on the gameplay controls, which is basically our sliders, is like one of the best solutions I can think of. So the most gamification feeling and immersive feeling, that you are inside of the game and this atmosphere of the solar punk will come with the visual design later. But for now, this should be in the wireframes as well. So the thing that David sent me is pretty much enough to apply it to the whole process, the logic that we have right now. But the best case scenario for me to have, maybe at least one narrative from the beginning to the end, so I can, understand the flow of the script. David is a writer, so he knows how to, engage the user, and I want to emphasize his effort rather than to make my own. So if I will get at least one narrative from the start to the last point, then I can, take it and create an entry to that gameplay and then create an exit from that gameplay to the high scores and stuff. So I will just embed it to the existing logic. And basically this is the biggest bottleneck right now. I can do it like without that, but it feels like I will still need to rework it later when he will finish. So I'm rather like the job itself is not that. It may be like 4 to 6 hours, and I hope to, I'm still hoping to get home from the hunt, and maybe I will do something UI wise, polish the wireframes UI wise, and then I will just insert his script in the wireframes. So this is my workflow as it seems for me to me right now, and yeah, that's it.
Nice. Sam, did you have any comments on the narrative?
Yes, the most prominent one is that probably, well, what we had in Figma was just one paragraph or so, well, 3 paragraphs or so, and we have a lot more now. So probably we want to make something to distract the people who are reading it, because if not, people is just not going to read it. And
Well,
what I
it's
am,
I'm
yeah.
not getting what you're saying completely. If I understand you correctly, please tell me. So you're saying that the length of the number of the steps for each narrative can be different.
Well, I think that we should rethink the way we present the text, because one way will be to make it shorter, but I don't think that this is good because the text is so good. So
Yeah.
probably another option is to add more images or illustrations that goes with the text. So
Yeah,
and
exactly. As I
make the
said, the
text a bit,
gamification feeling, the game feeling, the universe feeling of the solar punk will come with the visuals. But as I remember, for this iteration of this milestone of the grant, only consists from the brand guidelines and the wireframes. So yeah.
exactly.
Uh, and and so I am very impressed with the narrative text, and I think it's very engaging. And if we can get David to commit more time to managing and integrating the other screens into his beautiful text and making the quality that he did for the first screen for the rest of them, I think it's worth it to have the extra text, personally. Sam, did you have more comments on it, though?
Probably I'm not sure. The time travel probably is something that has been imposed because of the base storyline. Because we say that we are in the future, so David had to invent a time machine because radical exchange should happen in the present. Maybe I would like to talk with him. Maybe it's something that he would like to write it in the present, and that's all.
Yeah.
That's my
Okay.
other comment.
And Fabio, do you have any? Did you get a chance to read the script at all?
I haven't much, but what I'm looking, for example, right now, I'm looking at inputs and outputs in the screen one, define your community. And there it says input is hatchers, and then there is an output right below. Whereas currently we had just participants and proposals. So I'm just wanting to figure out how things play together. Is it only hatchers as an input? We don't have proposals as per the first graph, these kind of things, so that they are consistent across well, they actually finally understand correctly what goes into which page and not misunderstand.
I think the narrative layout doesn't match the design. So I think the design, the Figma design that Max will work on this week will probably enlighten that a lot more. And also, I'm pretty confident David hasn't touched those since actually designing the narrative. So the inputs and outputs. So we'll.
Okay, I see. Well, then, actually, here is what I can suggest at the moment. It feels like there are maybe a couple of iterations to come until the narrative and the wireframes are in sync. But I can do some work in looking, for example, at the other graphs, like the heat graphs, and put it up in some way which doesn't necessarily need to be totally in line with the requirements, and then we can figure out in the final iteration how things are coming together in the end.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I have a comment on that.
Oh.
I have a comment on that. So, as I mentioned before, the best workflow, as it seems for me, would be for us to decide on the script and the narrative, so we can like on the story itself, and then to align the wireframes. Because I don't want to create do the same work over and over again and trying to align like in parallel. So
Yeah, I agree. I support that.
I would agree.
As I said, it's a pretty simple process to refine the wireframe. Since I created a toolkit for the wireframes, it's pretty simple, just a drag and drop. So it's pretty easy. We just need to decide on the story, and there we go. Otherwise than that, guys, do you have any questions like about the UI around the main gameplay flow?
Can we go UI in just a second and give just Jeff a chance to comment on the narrative if he's read it? And actually, we also have fellow Jitser, new arrival. Can you introduce yourself as well? Oh, you're muted, fellow Jitser. No, we still can't hear you, even though you unmuted. But maybe before you introduce yourself, fix your mic. And Jeff, do you have any comments on the narrative?
I was just reading through it, and all looks good so far. Yeah, no, sorry. Can you hear me okay? I don't have my headphones plugged in. Okay, cool. Yeah, it looks good. I'm about halfway through and still making my way through it, but so far so good.
Okay.
I love the story and the plot line and coming back from the future, and I think this is really cool and engaging. So, awesome.
Yeah, very engaging. And fellow Jitser? Oh, Sam B! We still can't hear you though, or maybe you can talk. No. Damn, Sam B. Well, Sam B, I know that you were interested in narrative, right? You can nod. Yes. So we have the narrative. I recently linked it. And I think just to close the narrative discussion, I think it should be the highest priority this week. I'm going to have a tough time really looking at it until Saturday or Sunday. And I also think David needs a little bit more time to hack on it. So I will mostly be spending my time hunting David down and pushing him to put in a few more hours. Let's double down on the weekend. And maybe, Max, if you're happy delaying the time that you put into these designs until we've had a couple iterations on the script. Seems like a good idea.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with this. We have a huge incoming of the outsourcing projects, like 33 goddamn applications. So I'm kind of buried under the work. So if you need something from me, like design-wise, UI-wise, just hit me up on the Telegram. I'll be in a close touch. So.
Okay. And then, but let's just while we have you here, let's give a chance for everyone to give some input on the UI. Has everyone opened the Figma and checked out what Max has produced so far? And I don't know, Max, if you want to give us an introduction to it. Max, do you have any an intro to the Figma at all?
Well, I'm from my phone, from in the middle of nowhere, sitting in my car with my gun and my dog. So forgive me if I recall my UI incorrectly. So, but the main idea of the UI is that we have uh, not usual landing page, like we have landing spot on the website as a um choosing of the campaign. I'm seeing it right now as by distributing the narratives theme wise. Like there is a global good narrative, there is blockchain narratives, and uh, David has this awesome idea about you need to complete first to unlock second one. It's like a progression. So, and they should be united by the team, right? So then after this, first choosing the campaign, you pick an option of the narrative, and then you basically diving into the gameplay. So the gameplay screens the steps of the narrative as I assume there will be only four of them. So they're usually like commonly divided by two major parts. The top one is basically receiving a quest from the game, from the NPC, from the character that we will create, the solar punk dude or girl who will give you this quest, who will talk to the user and basically create an immersive atmosphere of the game. Then, beneath of the page, beneath this first part, you have gameplay controls. Basically, uh, you will interact with the game through these controls, through our sliders, and you will see the instantaneous, like live result of your actions. So you can adjust it and feel the, seamless play. Forgive me. Um, Game flow. I would say it like this. So the responsivity and the real time reactions of the charts is very crucial in this point because it will be not fun to do something, reset the page, do something, reset the page. So you want to be like part of this. You want to receive a funny comments on your action, so it will create a lot of engagement. Then you go through this gameplay. Then, in the end of this gameplay, we're challenging the user to judge themselves about their results. So, this is the common trick of the gamification to amplify the impact on the user when he got into the high scores. I mentioned that on our previous call. So, we just pumping up his hopes or his beliefs, his like in himself, in his abilities to, and then he get the result. And if it's good, if it's top, then he is really proud of himself. If it's not, then he kind of dared and provoked to go it all over again, to make another try. So basically this is it. And the cool part, so I remembered, I don't know how many of you guys seen the video of the TED talk that I gave to Griff about the gamification. There was an example, if I remember correctly, of the uh, medical entity creating a game to solve the issue. So I want to do something similar, right? I don't really believe that the single person can create a really effective and uh, great comments. So we want to create a gamified collaboration in between the users. So high scores should have something like join effort, take over the result, and so you want to begin from where the previous player left the game, from the high scores. So that will, and we will create a seamless progression of the adjustment of these comments, right? So in the end, we will receive really efficient model to configuration, right? So this is the biggest idea. Then I see this world, this game should have mandatory um, links to the Gitcoin grant to help the project. I see, so I don't remember correctly. We work on that with David real time. It should have links, obviously, to the commonstalk.org and to create a narrative, like propose a narrative. So it's like a application for the showing of the interest in your tool set, in our tool set. So if person came up with a narrative and he thinks that the Common Stack toolset will help him to launch the sustainable commons, we want to know about that narrative. So this is it, like a high level major idea of the UI, and you can see it implemented in the Figma. It's still low quality because it was made on the Cogos Griff, like real time. So, and I will be polishing it in the future. So, yeah. Reporting over.
Yeah, fantastic. I want to push it to Fabio first and maybe ask a couple questions based off of the feedback from Max. Do you think we can have really reactive charts? What do you think of the different commons as we go and adding cooperation to high scores? What do you think of everything else that you heard as well? Fabio?
Yeah. So generally, I'm always of the opinion whatever you want to do can be done. It's always a matter of how much time you put into it and how much effort. The clearer it is spec'd out, the closer the result will reflect what has been spec'd indeed. So generally, first of all, I think that how it has been described is perfectly doable. Again, if it's in more detail in the Figma and in the work in the process flow, if that is clear, then it will work. Now, details like updating on the fly sliders also can be done, but this can quickly also generate, the problems in the front, because D3 is a bit heavy sometimes on the front end. So if you move sliders and there are a lot of nodes who need to be updated in real time, that can quickly become, a bit, what's the word, wobbly or
wonky. Wonky.
No, exactly. It doesn't update very smoothly, and depending, if then you can count on people who will just drag the slider and wank it from the beginning to the end and stuff like that, because it's possible. Now, of course, that's happening on their computer, and then you can just say, well, that I don't care because it's supposed to be used like this, and if people misuse it, that's their problem. And I actually think that's some kind of approach we can take. Like there is a normal way of using it. If you just update the slider from 3 to 10, then the graph will update nicely. Of course, that's not the front end which is calculating this. It's going to the back end. So there might be delays and all that, and depends how fast the back end responds, and how efficient it is in responding and all that, so that the experience is smooth. So in other words, if it is needed to be like that, then it can be done, but it can have drawbacks. The simpler it's done, in the sense that the interaction is kind of steered, then the less problems are to be expected from that end. But that's just a general feedback. So
I mean, if we had just a button that's like update graph next to it, would that really destroy the UX, Max? Do you think?
Exactly. So that would totally eliminate what I
it
just said.
It won't.
Go
Okay,
ahead.
let me be honest. It will destroy the UX because you need to understand that we're dealing not with the like web application, traditional one. We're just trying to create a game, and this is the major restriction and confinement for all of us. And they are demandable from the point of the uh, immersivity. I don't know how to. So try to imagine like we're not trying to create a heroes of might and magic like old school where you have a step by step strategy, right? We're trying to create something that feels like you found some sort of a device and you're trying to adjust it like real time. The device should be responsive, you know, and,
Yeah. Okay. No, I think
so
that's
it
clear.
will have a huge impact on the UX.
Yeah, I think that's a clear answer. We need to go for it, and I'm down to go for it. Now, whether or not we need it on the first proof of concept, like I think Fabio, if it really gets too difficult to start out like that, I think a button as just like a proof of concept for us to run with, it could work. But I think I have to agree with Max. We got to go all in and try for it, and definitely for the final thing that we release. Sam, do you have any comments on Max's comments? Sam?
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you listen me?
Yeah, we hear you.
My computer is getting frozen at the moment, but let me check it if I can fix it. Yeah, I think that it's already fixed.
You're good.
Well, from my point of view, I completely agree with Max. From my point of view, the priority in the first stages should be to understand better conviction tree, because there are some things that are still undefined in the simulation, because they are over there, but we are not getting. For example, in the case of the narrative, there are some text that it says that the best thing is about you go receiving the tokens over time, but I think that the tokens are already there. People can vote with them. They cannot sell it. So I think that the first thing is to have a cohesive product with the narrative, the design, and the development. And when we have all that, then we can improve it. I think that will be the first priority. But yes, I completely agree, and I think that it's pretty doable to do this is what I wanted from the beginning, to move the graphs that are images in the simulation to graphs that are done with D3, and they are very they are live graphs, so they are very interactive. This is what I would like to have.
Nice. Okay. Does anyone else have any comments on what Max has said? Jeff or Juliet or Sam? You don't have to say no. Just speak up if you got ideas. Oh, and we do have another fellow Jitser who just joined. Sam says no comments. Okay. Well then, let's move on to the next agenda topic. And Max, if you need to take your dog home and put your gun away, I think that's totally cool. Just to give you a
yeah, thank you guys. I'm sorry for this inconvenience. I totally forgot about this call. Cheers. Max out.
Cheers.
Hi, Max.
Thanks, Max. So next agenda item is development progress. Do you have any ideas on that, Sam, that you want to update us on?
Yeah, I can share my screen. Well, if you see the, wait a sec.
And we have Juliet back. Thank you, Juliet, for taking great notes. Hey, Sam, can you make your window a little wider?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we did not so much this week. We still have these things probably in progress, right?
Yeah.
So I would like to go with all those for the next sprint and see if we can finish it, if we can finish them. And we did, well, actually this was already done, and we had progress from the part of Fabio in the JavaScript graphs that I am going to show to you now. And also I rewrote the Python code. So we have this new navbar over here with the design that is in Figma. Maybe we want to change it later, but and also the style and all that stuff. But for the moment, I think that it's quite good. I also added this part here, which is going to change again, but at least we have something to read. And when we click run here, now it's the moment that it doesn't work. This is the demo effect. Nice.
Oh, yeah, it's real.
Oh my God, why is it happening?
Well, DevTools, what's the console say?
Yeah. Fabio did some improvements to the graphs. Oh, what is happening? Well, I don't know what to do now.
Try step 2. Maybe step 2's run will work.
Yeah. What is happening here? It says that it isn't connecting because
Probably because Jitsi is eating up all of your bandwidth, man. I swear, Jitsi has found a way to just like suck all bandwidth towards it. It's almost like a virus.
Okay, I think that I should configure an environment variable because it's trying to connect to localhost, which probably I can fix it right now, but well, this is what is happening.
Okay.
Well,
let's I'll take the stage for a second so you can focus on fixing that really quickly.
No, I think that it's already fixed. If we run it, we get here the graph and the proposals and the participants over here. The thing is that we probably still want to, at the moment, if we click on one of the proposals or one of the participants or one of the proposals, we see their edges, and probably we want to change it a little bit more, showing which is the support with the color on those edges. Right, Fabio? And here we have only the support at the moment. I also added this text here that Fabio brought, and well, maybe I don't know. I also expect for feedback to see if it's helpful to have it here or because before it was over in the same screen.
Well, I think for that kind of thing, we should put it in the narrative doc, and just see how this week's biggest push will be narrative. So getting that squared away. So if it gets in there, it'll get edited by people's eyes, I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay, and I will change that because we see here the conflict ones, but probably or we show the edges when we click on conflict, and we show all the edges because they are over there. Or in the case of support, they are a lot of edges, and probably it is too intensive. I think that we have to rethink this because it is not very intuitive that you have to click on the circles to see what is going on. And if we go to the next screens, we see that there is not so much things done. We wait a little bit and go to the next one. The simulation is working now.
Oh, nice.
We still have to connect the parameters from the other screens into this screen. This is something that we have to do yet. But and of course, there should be some some loading image here. But this is what we have. And this also should be a D3 graph probably. Well, it is not complete.
Hey, fantastic work, man. Getting cadCAD integrated, that's a major step. And of course, like just getting the graphs up there so we can think about it. I think you made the right choices, at least on your priority list. So I would say great work.
Yeah. But by the way, I will redo all those things for the next sprint because in one sprint actually I did have not much time to dedicate on that.
Yeah.
So probably during this week I can have something that is more complete and also help with so having that, it will help with the narrative.
Does anyone else have any comments on the development progress? I imagine not, but speak up if you do.
And also for sure, I am using that run and next way to do things, but it will change in the future. Probably the point is what Max was commenting, that you do things here and it kind of auto runs in some way, so you get the results immediately.
Yeah. Are you running this on IPFS? You're not, right?
No, it is just a fancy domain.
Yeah. You just happen to own IPFS.technology.
Yeah.
Which is pretty solid. Okay, well let's move on to the next, the last topic, which is judgment. So Sam and I have the task this week and Juliet has the task this week of dishing out some cash for the progress that was done. And we want to make sure to reward people for that. So Juliet, if can you hear us?
Yeah.
Awesome. If you can try to hunt people down and get them to put hours, including me, hunt us all down and get us to put hours in for what we did for progress. And then Sam and I will probably have either a call or a chat. I'm guessing, sadly, on the weekend or Friday at the earliest.
Yeah, no problems.
And then we will dish out some cash and figure out how to distribute it using Giveth as forecasted on our budget doc, which is in this agenda. if you want to see our plan on distributing the budget. And also it's in some of the requirements are also in the Gitcoin grant. We want to follow what we said to the utmost that we can, while obviously admitting that it's subjective and making sure that we are very open to feedback. If there's any feedback, please reach out to us, and you can do it publicly. We want to be open and transparent about how funds are distributed. Also, another important factor is that on Giveth, your address will be public. So make sure to give us an address that you are happy with being doxxed on, because we're going to say, this human owns this address, and that's just how we're going to work on this. So that's something to consider as well. Sam, do you have any comments on this?
No, it's fine. Privacy for Ethereum.
Yeah, privacy, Ethereum, and transparent donations are they end up with you know, these kind of requirements. Juliet, do you have any comments on it?
No, sounds good. Yeah, I'll send out or I'll track everyone down this week.
Yeah, as for the hours probably that people have been working.
Yep. If Sam, if there's anything else that you want, make sure to just put it. You can, I believe, you can just edit that Google sheet and just add a column if there's something extra that you want a feedback from everybody that Juliet will collect. Because I believe the flow will just be Juliet sends them the link to the Google sheet. They put their name in, fill out what they did, and guess the number of hours, and fill out anything else that's in those lines. And then, I mean, we may even, if this project continues much longer, we could also just create a Google form for it that asks these questions as well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Juliet, for doing that, for reaching people.
Sure, no problem.
Yeah. Juliet, you're like our secret weapon for making this commons simulation thing work. Okay. Well, then the last announcement I have is that I'm doing a cadCAD workshop in 10 minutes. If you're interested in that, the first half an hour will actually just be me ranting about the common stack and how we do our simulations and blah, blah, blah. And then after that, we're doing a cadCAD tutorial. But the real benefit is that if you don't want to do robots and marbles tutorial, you don't have to. You can work on cadCAD at your own, whatever you want. And we have a cadCAD expert or two, hopefully, that will be there that we can ask questions to. So that's the real magic of this workshop. And Juliet helped me a lot on the slides. So it should be a fun, entertaining talk for the first half an hour. Well, cool. I'll end it there. We didn't get it done as quickly as I would have liked, but hey, it's done. So thank you guys. We have a few minutes of closing thoughts. My closing thoughts. Thank you guys for coming and participating in this sync. I'll pass it to Jeff.
Yeah, sorry I couldn't be more involved. I have a bunch of other things going on at the same time, but happy to be in the loop and see this moving forward. I like what I see, and I will pass it to Sam.
Hey, I'm super happy to have a narrative, and let's rock on. And I pass it to Juliet.
Yeah, sorry I was late today, but hopefully I was able to take a few notes, but anyway, yeah, glad to see things coming along and happy to help out.
Great, thank you guys. And narrative this week. Let's do it. Let's rally around this narrative and get it pushed out. Thank you guys. See ya.
Okay, bye.
Bye.